Hey guys, it's Andy! Today I have another hilariously bad set of bootleg FNaF toys for us to rip apart. I absolutely love doing these reviews, and judging by the views of my last rip-off toy review I did, I imagine you guys love them too. Today I have some really interesting figures. They're a whole lot more unique than my last ones, but that doesn't make them any good. Without further ado, let's tear this thing open. To start off, I'm going to pick one randomly and we'll review them in that order. Just like last time, it seems like Bonnie wants to be reviewed first. Right off the bat, I'm sure you can tell these are based off of the adventure characters from FNaF World. Big heads and small bodies. The seams on this guy are pretty distracting, but actually the model isn't that bad. He really does look straight out of the game, at least from first glance he does. He looks a little funky though. His eyes seem to be too close together and not large enough. And the tips of his ears are incredibly short for some odd reason. But the figure itself could be a whole lot worse. Another thing to note is that they gave him buttons, which is completely wrong. His left arm seems to have two little leftover pieces of plastic, one in his armpit and the other on his thumb. As for the paint on this guy, it's not horrible, but it's far from good. They almost got his colors right, but they didn't paint his nose, and his eyes are completely wrong. He also came with a little guitar. The paint on it actually looks pretty sweet, and it's really accurate compared to the game. Sadly though, it's curved really weird. Despite my best efforts, this was the only way Bonnie could hold his guitar. As for his limbs, only his arms move and his head can turn. Which isn't really a bad thing, at least he can stand on his own. Next up, Freddy! Oh boy, just look at that face. The paint really went wrong here. I have to admit, I kind of like the fact that his mouth is open, and the shape of his head is almost right, similar to Bonnie. It's almost cute. Kinda. Apparently Freddy has a silver top hat and a tail? That's a first. He also came with a little microphone, which is incredibly hard to put in his hand, so I'm not removing it. Weirdly, it's silver and brown, and his holding hand is the wrong side. If you thought the paint on Freddy was bad, then you'll be surprised when you see Toy Chica. Not sure why normal Chica wasn't made, but it probably has to do with popularity. Chica's always been the one that gets left out. Once again, the figure's shape doesn't look too bad, although her torso is a little wonky. Her right hand is flat like she was supposed to hold a cupcake, but she didn't come with one, so she looks pretty strange. Her face looks really bad. Her eyes are green. They completely missed the mark there. And she's looking to the left so hard, you could barely see her eyes. Her beak looks super awkward and derpy. All of the paint on her face is just terrible. And they didn't even bother to finish her bib. Next up, we have Adventure Puppet, who doesn't seem to be crying anymore, and his face turned pink. Despite that, his face does look quite accurate, and his body does too. But shoes? Since when does any puppet have shoes? The paint is terrible, like usual, but the figure all in all is kinda good. It's just weird how they made his face pink and forgot his tears. He's also got some kind of green sludge on his side, like some kid wiped his snot on him or something. If you thought that bootlegs could never be good, then you're probably right. For the most part. But surprisingly, I'm really amazed with this next figure, Adventure Mangle. Okay, it's not the bomb or anything, but you have to admit, it's pretty amazing that a bootleg rip-off toy like this would ever take the time to make a Mangle toy, especially not one that was accurate like this. Out of all the figures so far, this one is kinda cool. The white on Mangle is pink again for some reason, and the pink is red. They also didn't paint her hands in the 1 foot white, and they didn't even give Endo a pupil, so he looks kinda demonic. The fur on top of Mangle's head looks pretty sad. She doesn't have eyelashes and her teeth weren't painted. Yes, there's a lot of mistakes with her, but really I feel like if I just repainted her, she'd look pretty neat. What do you guys think? Should I repaint some of these guys? Next up, Springtrap. Now for this figure, it looks like the makers really couldn't decide if they wanted to make normal Springtrap or Adventure Springtrap. His head seems to have the adventure shape, but nothing else looks like the adventure version. This half-breed creature mashup thing looks really hideous. He's just staring into my soul. It seems like they really gave up when it came to painting him. There's just too many things to list wrong with him, and I'm sure you can see that. Next up, we have Adventure Nightmare Foxy, who you can see is severely disabled. This figure is pretty horrible. For some reason they made his claw and some of the wire framing blue. They also made him look like he's wearing goggles, and he has no eyes. The blotch of white on top of his head is some kind of glue, I believe. It probably isn't supposed to be there. He's also colored brown. Definitely not correct. Is it just me, or is his hand way too big? All in all, this figure is just complete garbage. Sorry, Nightmare Foxy. This is also a figure that can't decide if it wants to be an adventure character or just a normal one. Nightmare Balloon Boy. The colors on this one are just completely wrong. Skin-colored spinny thing, red clothes, black pants, brown cheeks, black hair. Everything here is just wrong. The figure's body shape actually looks quite accurate, but the head looks weird. Definitely a strange figure. Next up we have Adventure Nightmare. Definitely wasn't expecting this one. At least they almost got his colors right, aside from the yellow buttons and blue claws. As you can plainly see, this is a recolored Freddy with claw hands, so he seems kinda happy looking and lacks the giant menacing teeth. He also has that little tail. This is a pretty lackluster figure. Moving on. Now an even stranger addition to this set, a yellow Chillax. This is a somewhat random enemy you can find in FNaF World. Some kind of robot crab dude. The paint on this figure is once again really bad, and the eyes are completely off. But seeing as how this is a pretty simple design when it comes to colors and such, it doesn't look horrible. It just looks like a McDonald's toy. Security guard time! No, I'm not joking. This figure was also in this set. As you can easily read on his hat, this security guard is Lyramy? This character was most likely supposed to be Jeremy. As for what design it's based off of, I have no clue. It's possible the makers of this toy made it up themselves. It's surely not Mr. Question Mark Face. As for Lyramy here, I think he looks okay. Definitely could be worse. Very strange but interesting addition to this set. And last but not least, in this horribly wonderful bootleg set, we have Purple Guy. I don't think this figure is based off of anything either, since spiky teeth doesn't really match the fan-made character Vincent, and he's lacking the ponytail. He doesn't even have a gold badge, which is a big characteristic for Purple Guy. In my opinion, this guy looks super drunk. He even came with a hammer. Is the hammer Purple Guy's favorite weapon or something? I guess so, according to who made this. Thanks to everyone's suggestions, I have come to the conclusion that the best thing we can do to send these things into the afterlife is to burn them where they stand. Keep in mind, I did spare a few characters to be repainted in a future video. If that fails, they'll be burned as well. Thanks for watching, I hope you all enjoy the finale. Goodbye!